Michigan State beats Indiana 24-21. I'll be honest, I didn't get a ton of eyes on this game. I watched it a little bit, but there were so many other things going on. I saw the stands for Indiana. I know Thanksgiving break, but it was still not a good situation for IU there. Justin, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I watched the tail end of this game. Then I kind of went back and watched a little bit of the highlights. But the battle for the old brass spittoon, I had to go check it out. But I just checked it out because it's a really close game, and just they were trading shots early. And then Jamari Sharp in the third quarter, I think this is the play that kind of did them in. I think that interception, and then he fumbled and is picked back up by Michigan State. That was Indiana's chance right there, I think, to recapture some momentum. That would have had them in the field goal range or very close to field goal range to start that drive. And maybe they're not having to kick a field goal there at the end to try to take it into overtime. So I think that was a big back shot. But the thing is, they still had an opportunity and they still battled back. But I think that right there was their moment. And that ended up being the difference because they, like I said, they came out and they shanked the field goal to tie it and send it in overtime. And I'm going to say this. I watched that Maliq Carr play and immediately went and Googled how big that guy is, because that is a huge human being. Yeah. And with I watched that touchdown live. That was crazy. They were just bouncing off. Like, he got hit pretty hard. The first one just stumbled, but continued going, and he wasn't getting taken down. I think he was 6'5", 2 something, but that guy looks bigger than that. But that was kind of wild. But yep, pretty good game. Michigan State, credit to them. They're battling.
Yeah, for sure. Sonny, what do you think?
I didn't watch any of the game because there was like 25 other games I would have rather watched than these two, but I was kind of paying attention just to the storyline from afar. We played Indiana, obviously, the week before, and so we interviewed a couple guys from the Indiana side, for game previews and whatnot, and the general consensus was there's some positive energy with Tom Allen. The idea was the Illinois game was a 50-50 one, and then they would kind of steamroll through Michigan State, and I forget who they played in the last. Purdue, the last game of the season. So Illinois was the one that they were worried about. They lost to Michigan State, and so I think this pretty much, if it was not 100% before, it's now like 99%. Puts a nail in the coffin for Tom Allen and his time in Indiana. He's going to be one hell of a defensive coordinator somewhere. And, there's going to be a lot of teams interested in him. But, as for the game itself, I didn't really watch much. But,
I think Tom Allen, the buyout might be too much. And that's really what it comes down to with Indiana is, do they care enough to pay a big buyout to move on from their coach, or are they just going to ride out next season? I was telling one of my in-laws who is an Indiana fan, and I didn't really initiate the conversation about it, but I did engage in it because he brought it up, and he just told me, he's like, Indiana's just the embarrassment of the Big Ten when it comes to football. Obviously much more historic basketball program, so you can't say overall, and they do win in some other areas as well, but when it comes to football, the administration just doesn't put enough into it. He told me he thinks they're stuck with Tom Allen another year because they just don't care enough to pay the buyout to get him out of there. The fans just don't care enough. And he was actually there for the game, and he said, like, it was just embarrassing. Even just sitting in the stands, knowing that there are cameras out there that are going to be showing the stands some, he was like, it's embarrassing knowing that there's 1,000, maybe 2,000 people at that game, and on senior night too. Obviously the students weren't there. It's Thanksgiving break, so that does impact it, but it's just a really, really tough situation for Indiana right now. And to think where they were back in 2020 with Michael Penix Jr., I mean, the reach to beat Penn State, giving Ohio State a really good game. I mean, they were going to go to the Big Ten championship game if they didn't change the rules for Ohio State to go there instead. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. And to think this is where they are now 3 years later, it's wild.
Yeah. For whatever it's worth, on our one of our episodes last week for the Indiana preview, we did have a guy with Indiana who, again, claimed to have a source that the money is there and the money is going to happen for that buyout. It was a simple matter of if they could sweep the remaining games and make it to a bowl game, he could have salvaged himself another season. But Indiana is very much counting on that new TV deal and media money, and that the contact has already been made with some of the major donors, that it's pretty obviously that opening is going to be made available by the end of the year.
Gotcha. Yeah, my guy didn't have any sources. He's just a fan who
fans with sources. All right.
He's just a fan that gets miserable watching Indiana football. So. But hey, shout out to Michigan State. Didn't know if they'd win another game this season. They went out there. They played for Harlan Barnett and they won the game. So good for them.
I would say Indiana's a basketball school, but now Nebraska's a basketball school. So just putting that out there.
There you go. Yeah.